In this video, we want to fully understand the capillary veins. What happens at the capillary vein? So, as we say that capillary veins, that is where the cells manage to get oxygenated, and that is where the cells they manage to get dissolved substances in blood like oxygen, glucose, and amino acids. So we must first of all identify the parts of the capillary vein. So this is the inlet of the capillary vein, and the inlet of the capillary vein is an artery. So an artery is carrying blood from the heart. It is carrying blood away from the heart to where it is required. And that is the outlet of a capillary vein. And the outlet of a capillary artery is a vein. So this vein is the one that carries away deoxygenated blood and blood that is carrying hormones like insulin away from the cells. Okay, so since the capillary exists between the artery and the vein, so we must be able to realize that the capillary starts from somewhere there and ends somewhere there. So it exists between the artery and the vein. What is in green, these green dots are the body cells. Those are the body cells. Now, the artery contains blood that is rich in oxygen. The artery also contains blood that has got dissolved oxygen, glucose, and amino acids. Right. So, the artery, the veins of the artery, they are biologically adapted such that they can be narrowed or expanded depending on the activity. So let's say a human being is exercising. The arteries can be opened. And when a human being is doing exercises, when a human being is not doing exercises that need high oxygen contents, the arteries will be narrowed, or they will be returned back to normality. We'll get to that one. Okay. Now, this is what happens when the blood reaches the capillary. What we must understand is that the blood, when it reaches the capillary, when it is still in the veins that are in red, or when it is still in the tubes that are in red, this blood is containing water, it is containing oxygen, it is containing dissolved foods, or dissolved materials like amino acids, glucose, as well as oxygen. Those are the main contents of the blood. Now, for glucose, for oxygen, and for amino acids to move from the inlet capillaries, which are in red, to move out and reach our cells, there has to be our usual two processes, which is diffusion, right? let's talk about dissolved particles like amino acids, oxygen, and glucose. So these will help to move from the region of high concentration, which is the artery, which is the inlet of the capillary. So that is the region of high concentration, and it moves to the region of low concentration until there is a balance. So these body cells, the movement of these dissolved particles, the dissolved needs from the inlet capillary to the body cell happens through diffusion. Okay. Now, the movement of water still from the inlet capillary to our cell, it happens by osmosis. It is achieved through the biological process that we all know, which is osmosis. Now, osmosis is the movement of water molecules from the region of high concentration to the region of low concentration through a partially permeable membrane. That is osmosis. So there is always need of a lot of fresh blood that is being supplied to the capillary to maintain the imbalance of water and the dissolved particles that are needed by the body cells, so that diffusion and osmosis become a continuous movement. So let us say when you are exercising, you tend to use a lot of energy. You will use a lot of glucose, you will use a lot of oxygen. So that is the reason why when you are exercising, the walls of the inlet of the capillary, the walls of your arteries, they will have to be expanded so that a richer supply of oxygen and dissolved glucose and other needs that are wanted by the body cells will flock in. So the same process will happen when the body cells will also give off unwanted material out of them into the blood to flow through the vein to excretory organs, right? So the cells, they need oxygen, they also need glucose, they will also need amino acids, which they have got at this particular point. From here going backwards, our cells have got water, they have got amino acids, they have got glucose as well as oxygen. From this point going to that direction, now our blood has now lost oxygen, glucose, amino acids, and from that point our blood contains hormones like insulin as well as carbon dioxide. So now our blood is rich in carbon dioxide and hormones like insulin. Now these are then taken away by this part of the capillaries towards the heart. So I'll have to break this video into two because it will be pretty long.